There are moments when the past quietly returns, not through dreams or sudden memories, but through something ordinary. A sound, a smell, or an old photograph that has waited for years to be found. It happened to me one late afternoon when sunlight stretched long shadows across the floor. I was searching for a file in my desk when I noticed a small wooden box tucked away at the very back of a drawer. It was covered in dust, its corners softened by time. I almost didn't open it until I saw a faint label on the lid. For later. Inside, I found a few forgotten pieces of my life. A movie ticket from a theater that no longer exists. A faded postcard with no address. A crumpled note, folded so many times the paper was thin as tissue. I opened it carefully. The handwriting was mine, but from another life. The ink had bled and faded, yet one line was still legible. Don't forget, you were once brave. I froze. The words struck me harder than I expected. It felt like someone, maybe the younger version of myself, had reached across the years to tap me on the shoulder and whisper, "Remember me?" That night, I sat by the window with that note resting beside a half-empty cup of coffee. Outside, the sky turned to amber, then to gray. I looked at the reflection in the glass. Older, quieter, but somehow carrying the same eyes. And I wondered, when did I stop being that person? When did I forget what it felt like to live without armor? There was a time when I believed life rewarded sincerity. That if you tried hard enough, loved deeply enough, things would somehow fall into place. I remember that younger man, eager, trusting, always ready to give more than he had. He stayed up late writing letters that were never sent. He waited in the rain for people who never came back. He said, "I'm fine," when he wasn't, believing that strength meant silence. He mistook exhaustion for dedication, heartbreak for proof of love, and yet there was beauty in his naivete. He felt everything, joy, fear, loss, with a purity I no longer allow myself. He didn't know how to hide behind small talk or measured smiles. He lived wide open, like a window that had never learned to close. As years passed, I learned to protect myself, to measure my words, to guard my heart, to keep things safe and predictable. I thought that was maturity. But now I see it was just fear. Fear of being hurt again, fear of being disappointed, fear of hoping for too much. We like to call that growing up. But sometimes, growing up is just learning how to disappear behind your own caution. A few nights ago, I caught my reflection in the mirror, really saw it, for the first time in a while. The lines were deeper, the hair grayer. But what struck me most wasn't the change in appearance, it was the silence in my own eyes. I used to look at life as if it were a wide road full of possibilities. Now I often look at it like a checklist. Bills paid, deadlines met, emotions managed. Somewhere along the way, I traded wonder for control. I used to believe the world could be gentle, that people, even flawed ones, were worth trusting. But after enough losses, I started building walls, walls so thick that even the good couldn't get in anymore. Sometimes I wonder, did I become wiser or just lonelier? That night, I took out an old photograph. It was of me, 20, maybe 21, standing by the lake near my hometown. The colors had faded, but the sunlight was still there, frozen forever in that summer moment. He was smiling. Not because life was perfect, but because he still believed it could be. I took a pen and a piece of paper and began to write. Not a note for the world to see, not a confession or a eulogy. Just a letter for him. "I used to be angry with you," I wrote. "Angry that you believed so easily. Angry that you gave your heart away without a safety net. Angry that you didn't protect yourself." I paused. The pen trembled slightly. "But now I understand. You weren't weak. You were alive. You were unafraid to feel, to hope, to dream. And somewhere along the way, I forgot how to do all that." As I wrote, I realized I had spent years trying to forgive other people. Those who hurt me, left me, or didn't understand me. But I had never once tried to forgive myself. I had blamed that younger self for being too trusting, too open, too human. But he was only doing his best with the tools he had. And isn't that what we're all doing, even now? Forgiveness has a strange shape. It doesn't arrive with fanfare or closure. It comes quietly, like morning light slipping under the curtains, soft, almost unnoticed. That evening it came in the form of a simple realization that I could stop blaming myself for the things I didn't know then. I used to think forgiveness meant forgetting, wiping the slate clean. Now I know it means remembering differently. Looking back not with judgment, but with understanding. The truth is, none of us were ever meant to be perfect. We were meant to be whole, and wholeness includes every scar, every regret, every fragile piece of who we used to be. If I could sit across from that young man in the photo, I wouldn't lecture him. I'd just reach across the years, put a hand on his shoulder and say, "You did the best you could. Thank you for holding on when I wanted to give up." And maybe he'd smile, that same careless smile, and say, "I told you it'd be okay." It started raining that night, not a storm. Just the kind of slow, steady rain that sounds like forgiveness. Each drop on the window felt like a word I'd been too afraid to say. I sat there, listening, the world outside blurred, soft edges against the glass. For once, I didn't try to fix anything. I just breathed. They say healing takes time. Maybe that's true, but sometimes all it takes is one honest moment. One quiet acknowledgement that you're tired of carrying the weight of who you used to be. So I whispered into the dim room, "It's okay, you can rest now." And in that silence, I felt something loosen. The kind of peace that doesn't erase the past, but lets it finally exhale. Getting older, I've learned that peace isn't loud. It doesn't shout or announce itself. It shows up in small ways, in the way you stop explaining yourself, in the way you let the world be imperfect without trying to fix it. Forgiveness is much the same. It's not an act of surrender, but of reclaiming your humanity. When we forgive others, we make peace with the world. But when we forgive ourselves, we make peace with time. For years, I carried guilt like an heirloom, carefully, privately, as if it proved I had a conscience. But guilt doesn't prove love, it only proves attachment to pain. And I was tired of being loyal to my own suffering. So I made a choice, not to forget, but to see differently. Every mistake, every heartbreak, every misstep, they weren't stains, they were brushstrokes, and together, they painted the person I've become. Now, when I look at that photograph, I don't see a naive young man anymore. I see a teacher. Someone who taught me how to feel deeply, even when it hurt. Someone who taught me how to believe again, even when believing felt foolish. Later that evening, I placed the photo back in its frame and set it on the shelf. The light outside had shifted, golden to blue, then to soft twilight. I could still see his smile in the dim light, and for once, it didn't ache. It felt like gratitude. Maybe that's what forgiveness really is. Gratitude for the lessons that hurt. As I turned off the light, I caught my reflection in the window one last time. For a fleeting moment, I saw both of us, the younger man and the older one, sharing the same eyes, the same quiet understanding. We are both still here, just different versions of the same story. If you ever stumble upon an old photograph, don't rush to put it away. Hold it. Look closer. There's a chance that the person smiling back at you still has something to say. Maybe they're reminding you of who you were before the noise, before the fear, before the armor. Maybe they're saying, "Hey, it's okay. You made it." And if you listen closely enough, you might realize you've been waiting your whole life to forgive that person. You can't rewrite the past, but you can rewrite the way you see it, and that's where peace begins. If you've made it this far, maybe, just maybe, something inside you stirred, a memory you thought you'd forgotten, a younger version of yourself you haven't spoken to in years, or a truth you once knew, but tucked away somewhere quiet. Before you scroll away, take a breath and ask yourself, if I could say one thing to the person I used to be, what would it be? You can share it below in the comments, not for others to see, but for you to finally hear yourself again. Because sometimes, The act of remembering is the first step toward forgiving. If this story touched you, please consider subscribing to the Memory Drawer and sharing it with someone who might need to hear it tonight. A single story can't fix a broken heart, but it can remind us that we're not alone in learning how to heal. We'll be here, opening more drawers of memory, telling stories that help you pause, reflect, and gently find your way back to yourself. Somewhere inside your own memory drawer, there's not just what you've lost, but who you've always been. And maybe that's where peace truly begins.